first trial mistrial, and that would basically take away our right to make an objection at this point when we have not indeed stipulated or agreed.
I don't know of any authority that requires this court to enlighten the defense of the court's own discovery and research. And certainly this has all come up rather quickly, and my able staff attorney has done the research, but so that request will be denied.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Your Honor, just for the court's knowledge, we plan to introduce the order of stipulation along with the exhibits and then call our next witness.
All right. Bring the jury back in, please.
Your Honor, there are several items of evidence, 6 in fact, and first of all, the court, prior to us getting in front of the jury, certainly to streamline things, entered an order of stipulation signed by myself and the defense, Ms. Palmer, in regards to 6 items of evidence. Before I enter those items, I would like to offer this order as an exhibit for the purpose of entering the stipulations.
All right. I assume you have objection to that, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
The objection's noted and it will be overruled and be marked and admitted.
Number 37.
Your Honor, for the jury's knowledge, in some of the final state witnesses, they're going to hear quite a bit of conversation regarding phone records, a video system, along with a green dot document. This order actually is an order of stipulation entering into evidence a disc containing the phone tolls and location data for the cellular device belonging to Jessica Lane Chambers, the disc containing SMS messages or text messages from the cellular device belonging to Jessica Lane Chambers, a disc containing the phone tolls and location data for the cellular device belonging to Quinton Tellis, also a disc containing a download or dump done by U.S. Marshal Service Agent Nick Balance for the cellular device belonging to Quinton Tellis, the DVR or hard drive of the CCTV video system that was taken from M&M's convenience store by Panola County Sheriff's Investigator Brian Arnold, and also documents turned over in discovery containing green dot records from December the 6th of 2014. Your Honor, at this time I would offer 6 separate exhibits, those 4 discs that are listed in the order, along with the CCTV hard drive and the green dot records as 6 separate exhibits.
All right, and they're all contained in the stipulation.
Yes, Your Honor, they are.
All right. Now be permitted.
First one will be the phone tolls and location data for Jessica Chambers' phone. Second will be the text message for Jessica Chambers' phone. Third will be the phone tolls and location data for Quinton Tellis' phone. Fourth will be the downloader dump from Quinton Tellis' phone.
exhibits 38 through 43. Mark them there.
38 through 43.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Your Honor, we call Scott Meadows.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give involving this case is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. Mr. Champion.
What is your name?
Scott Meadows.
Scott, where are you employed?
I'm a special agent with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, ATF.
And how long have you been there?
I've been with ATF about 17 and a half years.
And what are your primary responsibilities with ATF?
Within ATF, we work violent crime, mainly related to firearm offenses like firearms trafficking, felons with firearms, and burglaries of like gun stores.
But you also work or assist agencies with fires as well, is that correct?
We do, sir.
Okay. And Scott, just for the jury, where did you attend college?
I graduated from Mississippi State University,
In what year?
1991.
And did you also have, or did you enlist in the military?
I was in the military, yes, sir.
Okay, and what branch of the military were you in?
I graduated Air Force pilot training and ended up coming back to Mississippi, and I flew C-141s with the Mississippi Air National Guard.
And how long did you do that?
About 8 or 9 years.
Okay. Now, Scott, did you have occasion to become involved in the death investigation of Jessica Chambers?
Yes, sir, I did.
And the fire occurred on December the 6th, and she died on December the 7th.
Yes, sir.
What day did you become involved?
We became involved, we being ATF, we became involved on Thursday, December the 11th.
And what was the purpose of ATF becoming involved?
Well, primarily, they had a lot of leads, a lot of people, and they needed additional resources. We started, thanks. When we first came over, we assisted with preparation of evidence and for packaging and transport to the ATF lab.
And more particularly, the clothing and the items that were located at the scene, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And were items also recovered from the vehicle?
We did. We came back on Friday the 12th and went back through the vehicle. It had already been processed by the state of Mississippi and the state fire marshal, but we did take a sample from the front driver's side floorboard and sent that to the lab.
Okay. Now, explain to the jury, please, when you were packaging something for the lab, are you in contact with the lab technician at that time?
I did. Prior to coming over to the Panola County Sheriff's Office, I contacted our lab in Atlanta and made sure we followed the procedures as directed by them.
Okay. And did you do that?
Absolutely, sir.
Okay. And was the item, or were the items of evidence submitted to the crime lab in Atlanta?
They were, sir.
Okay. And what does, you said you had to follow direction as far as packaging. What exactly do you mean?
We just took the evidence as we had it in, I believe most of it were sent in paint cans, and they were, we put them in the paint cans that's so the vapors stay within the paint cans. We also submitted a sample can as well.
Now, were you at some point, basically, for lack of a better word, designated to be ATF's point of contact for this investigation?
Yes, sir.
And did you become an integral part of the core team that was investigating this case?
Yes, sir. I was part of the team. Yes, sir.
Okay. And initially, explain to the jury initially just the number of people that were involved and agencies that were involved, I would say the first and second weeks of this case.
When I came over on that Thursday, we came over for the briefing. I don't remember if it was the morning or afternoon briefing, but we walked in, the hallways were full of people. The conference room at the Panola County Sheriff's Office had been turned into like a command post. There were individuals had their conference table, had people receiving information. There were tips coming in. The walls were turned into where you tips and leads and what the agents and officers had found out the previous day. And that was just, it was a collection of information every day that came in there.
Can you just kind of describe the conference room there at the Sheriff's Department? When you come in, is there a big wall on the right-hand side?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then a table?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What was being put on the wall to the right as you came through the door?
Best I recall, I know there were leads that were being generated, and they were up on some of the walls. And as those names were put up there, agents and officers were going out doing those interviews, and that was being put up. What the officer agent found was being put up there on the interview.
So there was there a method of tracking what interviews were being conducted and who was conducting them?
Absolutely. As the leads came in, the interviews took place. They came back in, the agents came back in and provided the information that they had learned from that interview or that event. You had it was everyone from analysts to interns that were inputting that into a database to keep as a collection point.
And you were also working closely with Barry Thompson, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And as well as Tim Douglas.
Correct.
And other officers that were being sent out to perform various interviews, were you working with them as well?
Yes, sir.
Would it be safe to say that the investigation was very large, but people were keeping each other informed?
Without a doubt, yes, sir.
Okay. And that was being done through briefing meetings during either the afternoon or the mornings, is that correct?
That was the purpose of the briefings, to disseminate information that had been learned, and then to assign at the same time additional leads for teams to go out.
Okay. And did you participate in interviews in this particular case?
I did, yes, sir.
Okay. And were you made aware, as part of the investigative team, of the content of interviews conducted with various people?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And were you made aware of an interview conducted with Quinton Tellis on December the 10th by Tim Douglas and Barry Thompson?
Yes, sir, I was.
Okay. And were you aware that at that interview, Quinton advised them that the last time he had seen Jessica was when she dropped him off that morning?
I think in that initial interview, I think they went riding around, and I think in that interview, I think it came out that he gave her he said he gave her some money that afternoon in that first interview.
Okay. And then were you made aware of the interview that was conducted by Dustin Blunt with the FBI?
Yes, sir.
And were you made aware in that interview he indicated that he and Jessica had had sex?
Yes, sir.
And were you made aware of the location of where he claimed that they had had sex?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And were you also familiar with that area yourself?
Yes, sir, I am.
And were you also made aware of a conversation that occurred between Dustin and Quinton about a shed in front of his house?
Absolutely, yes, sir.
And are you personally aware of where his residence in that shed is located?
I am, yes, sir.
Okay. As an investigator in this case, were you made aware of the fact that Quinton Tellis pointed out himself to Agent Blunt a 5-gallon gas can located inside the shed?
Yes, sir, he did.
And were you also advised that he claimed his mode of transportation was a dirt bike that was also located within that shed?
Yes, sir, I was. Yeah.
So all of these things were known to you throughout the investigation.
Correct, yes, sir.
Would it be safe to say that after the December the 18th interview with Quinton Tellis, at that point he was no longer a suspect?
no longer a suspect.
at that time.
At that time, that's an accurate statement, yes, sir.
It kind of explained to the jury a little bit about what was going on, and just generally, going on between really the end of December, 1st of January, through September.
Well, we started off at first, like we talked about, the leads were coming in. There was a lot of activity within the investigation. As time went on, the leads slowly slowed down. They slowed down. The calls, the tips stopped coming in. And through about probably the 1st of October, I mean, it really slowed down at about that point.
Would it be safe to say that we've kind of hit a dead end?
Yes, sir. That's fair.
Now, are you familiar with a gentleman named Paul Rowlett?
I am, sir.
And who is Paul?
He's an intelligence analyst with the United States Attorney's Office in Oxford.
And kind of tell the jury a little bit what is an intelligence analyst.
Those guys have just so much training and knowledge as it relates to everything from different multitude of databases to, as we talked about, the collection of data, but how to take that data and put it in a usable format to disseminate to the agents and anyone involved in an investigation.
And that deals with cell phones,
Absolutely.
computers,
Yes, sir.
any other digital form of communication. Is that correct?
Everything, cell phones, towers, social media, anything like that.
Okay. And I believe you also have training with ATF with a specialty in data collection. Is that correct?
I'm a digital media collection specialist with ATF.
Okay. What is that?
It's a long name that means I extract data from cell phones. Most people commonly call it as like doing cell phone dumps, if you've heard that term. That's what I do. I go in and use a computer to extract data from a cell phone.
And did you learn that through the military, or did you learn that as a member of ATF?
ATF, yes, sir.
Scott, I believe also during the course of the winter, spring, and summer, and into early fall, there were numerous leads that were followed. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, I know you weren't there, but are you aware of information that was received concerning something in Iowa?
Yes, sir, I'm aware of that.
Okay. And did that lead pan out?
No, sir, it did not.
And did officers actually travel to Iowa?
Members of NBI and the FBI traveled to Iowa, chased down that lead, and it was nothing.
And were you aware of something that came out of the federal penitentiary in Yazoo City?
Yes, sir.
And as a result of that information, was another trip taken to follow up on that potential lead?
We did. Agent Douglas and myself traveled to the Federal Correctional Institute in Yazoo City, and we met with an inmate there, and he provided information on a former cellmate. We followed, that inmate had since been transferred to Chattanooga, and we traveled to Chattanooga and spoke with that inmate.
And did that lead pan out?
No, sir, it didn't.
And did you also get a lead over in Amory and Aberdeen, Mississippi?
We did, yes, sir.
Okay, and did officers travel to Aberdeen to follow up on that lead?
Yes, sir, we did.
And did you interview some individuals concerning that potential lead?
Yes, sir.
And did that pan out?
No, sir, it didn't.
And I believe at some point in time, you actually did a deployment to Jackson. Is that correct?
I did. In the over the summer of 2015, I was sent to Jackson to work with the Violent Crime Squad down in Jackson, Mississippi.
And how long were you down there?
That was a 4-month detail.
Okay. And were you actually in constant contact with Tim and Paul concerning this case?
Daily.
Okay. Now, in the spring of 2015, was the volume of investigators involved whittled down?
Yes, sir, greatly.
Greatly. And who basically became the core team investigating this case?
About that time, it became myself, Tim Douglas with NBI, and Paul Rowlett.
And y'all were also in constant contact with Jay and myself as well, is that correct?
Absolutely, yes, sir.
And during the summer months, or the spring and the summer, and into the early fall, did you have occasion to review the closed-circuit television from inside the store?
From inside the store,
Well, not you physically being inside the store, but the actual video.
the DVR that was
Yeah.
from the store, yes, sir, I did.
And I believe this is a DVR from the store here, is that correct?
It appears to be, yes, sir.
What was the purpose of going through the DVR inside the store? Now, there was also actually footage from outside the store as well, is that correct?
Yes, sir, I think it was like a traditional multiplex you've seen, like at some stores where it has numerous cameras on one screen. By reviewing that, you could see who was going during the day, as well as the cameras that were outside in the parking lot.
And what were you looking for?
Just any information. It was using the video from that. It was a piece of the puzzle, and you take that puzzle piece or something, a video clip from that, and combine it with other intel that we received from the investigation, and it was part of the puzzle that we would put together.
At some point in time, did y'all, and I know Paul will testify to this later, but at some point in time, did you notice anything along with Paul on the CCTV near Quinton's house?
Can you be more specific,
Sure.
sir?
Did you have discussion with him about headlights going in and out of Quinton's driveway
Oh, yes, sir.
approximately 6:30 to 7:30 that
Absolutely,
night?
yes, sir.
Okay. And this was after Quinton became a suspect again in this case, is that correct?
That is accurate, yes, sir.
Okay. Well, let's go to that. We've gone through the initial investigation. We've gone through the spring. We've gone through the summer. And there were no leads at this point. Is that correct?
No, sir, they had pretty much dried up.
Okay. At some point, did Paul receive some records from the U.S. Marshal Service?
He did. I'm not sure when those records came in, but he did receive them later on. Yes, sir.
And did he begin reviewing those records?
Yes, sir, he did.
And did he notice anything in particular that caused him to call you and others concerning these records?
He did, yes, sir.
And what was that?
From our prior,
Object to talking about what Mr. Rowell had noticed.
Well, I sustain the objection. May I rephrase your question?
Did you also see these records?
I did, sir.
Okay. All right, explain to the jury what you observed.
The records that we obtained showed positions of cellular telephones in a specific time frame. Mr. Rowlett will go into that later, but it was from the evening of December 6th.
Okay. And whose records were they?
Those were pertaining to Quinton Tellis.
Okay. And did you already have Jessica Chambers' records?
We did, sir.
Now, just to set up Paul a little bit, I've got my cell phone here right now. And how does a cell phone, just the basics of a cell phone, work as far as communicating with towers?
No, I'm going to object to that testimony, speculation. He's not been tendered as an expert in this field, cell phone locations.
I'm not using his general knowledge as he's attained through his employment. I'm not tendering him as an expert. These are things he's gone through training with. He said he's a digital media collection specialist.
Well, I don't think the basic knowledge of how a cell phone works is certainly a subject to the expert opinion. I think a lot of lay people understand how cell phones work, so I'm going to permit the question. May continue. Objection noted, overruled.
Your phone is, if you have your phone here, it's always talking to a tower. And again, you'll hear this in greater detail shortly, but your phone's always talking to a tower. It's in contact. It's how it knows where you are, and that position is being transferred back and forth to a tower.
So if I'm sitting in Oxford right now, or if I'm sitting here, will my phone be transmitting to a tower in Oxford?
From here?
Yes.
No, sir.
And which, or how, I guess let me rephrase this. Does your phone communicate with the nearest tower that picks up the signal?
Generally, yes, sir.
Okay. And if you've got multiple towers in the area, is it possible for a phone to hit off more than one tower?
Correct, yes, sir.
And are you able to obtain information through subpoenas from cell phone companies that give you information about locations of cell phones at any particular given time?
For locations, generally, you have court order, or now it's a search warrant. But yes, sir, it will give you that information that you request.
Okay, and what that is basically each signal that a phone sends to one particular tower, you can garner that information for that one particular tower.
Objection to the meeting, Your Honor. He's now testifying for the witness.
Objection sustained.
Can you get information from a particular tower about a particular cell phone sending messages to that tower?
Yes, sir, there's several ways you can work through that tower. You can do a tower dump, and it tells you the calls that went through. There's several ways to work with the phone company to get that data.
Okay. And were all these things done in this particular case?
Yes, sir, they were.
And when Paul contacted you and you went and looked at what he was talking about, or the information he received, did it pique your interest?
Absolutely, yes, sir.
And why did it pique your interest?
Because from the prior interviews of Quinton Tellis, he had told the investigators that the last time he saw Jessica was that afternoon when he gave her some money. Looking at the data that we received, that was not true.
And what do you mean by it not being true?
It showed him him being with her throughout later on that evening.
And basically, his phone and her phone were in the same places at the same times.
That's accurate, yes, sir.
Okay. Now, you also mentioned that he had said that he had tried to throw some or give her some money earlier in the day. When y'all went through the CCTV at the store, and they've been to the store, were you able to see any evidence of him coming across the street and giving her money?
I never saw that on December 6th. No, I did not.
And you looked at the entire day, is that
I
correct?
did.
Matter of fact, you looked at multiple days on that video, didn't you?
I did. We looked for days before and after, yes, sir.
Okay. Was a meeting called concerning this new information regarding Quinton?
Yes, sir.
And what was decided at that meeting that we needed to do?
Well, we met, looked at what we had, and it's like, we need to further investigate this. And at that point, utilizing databases, Paul learned that Quinton was in Monroe, Louisiana, and we developed an interview strategy and then went to Monroe to interview him.
Okay. And was the interviews, I believe it was on November the 2nd, is that correct?
November 2nd and 3rd were the first interviews, yes, sir.
Okay. And did you talk with Quinton?
I did.
And was Quinton cooperative with you?
He was.
And prior to Quinton giving an interview, was he advised of his rights?
Yes, sir.
And I believe he was advised of his rights not only on November the 2nd, but November the 3rd as well. Is that correct?
That's correct. That next morning, yes, sir.
Just look through both of those documents and tell me if you recognize them.
I do, sir.
Well,
It's a Miranda warning, waiver of rights, signed by Quinton Tellis. The first page was signed on November the 2nd, 2015. And the second page is a different form, but same Miranda warning, Miranda rights, dated November the 3rd, 2015.
Your Honor, I would offer this as an exhibit for this testimony. It's a collective two-page exhibit.
Objection?
None, Your Honor.
All right. Be marked and admitted.
44.
Did you participate in the interview with Quinton on November the 2nd?
I did, sir.
Okay. And based on what Quinton was telling, did Paul Rowlett come in with Quinton as well, not only on the 2nd, but on the next day, the 3rd?
He came in, I guess, midway through the interview on the 2nd, and he, along with Tim Douglas, were in on the interview on the 3rd.
Okay. And based on the interviews on the 2nd and the 3rd, did we leave Monroe?
We did.
Okay. And did we return to Monroe in January?
Yes, sir, we did.
And was Quinton re-interviewed in January of 2016?
Yes, he was.
I would hand you a document and ask if you can identify that.
It's a Miranda rights form dated January 27th, 2016, signed by Quinton Tellis.
What was the date again, sir?
It's be the January the 27th of 2016.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I would offer this as an exhibit to this witness's testimony.
Any objection? None, Your Honor. Be marked and admitted.
Number 45.
Scott, were the interviews that were conducted on November 2nd, November 3rd of 2015, and January the 27th of 2016 recorded?
Audio, video recorded, yes, sir.
Okay. And were they placed onto a thumb drive?
They were.
Okay, and have you had an opportunity to review that thumb drive?
Yes, sir, I have.
I'll ask you to look at that package and also look on the inside and tell me what you recognize that.
Glasses on. It's a 32 gigabyte thumb drive.
And is that the thumb drive that contains the interviews with Quinton on the 2nd, 3rd of November and also the 27th?
Yes, sir, it is.
Your Honor, I'll offer this as an exhibit to this witness's testimony.
No objection, Your Honor.
No objection to be marked and admitted.
Number 46.
Scott, when the trip to Monroe was made in November, what was your understanding prior to, let me rephrase this. Were you aware of the interviews that Quinton had given in December? Right after the
Yes, sir, I was, yes, sir.
And the information that you gathered and looked at with Paul concerning the phone data, was that consistent or inconsistent with what Quinton had told you in December?
When he had told the other agents in December?
Yes, not you, but I mean, what you were aware of, yes.
Absolutely, it was inconsistent.
Okay. And did you feel like the need to re-interview him?
Without a doubt, yes, sir.
Okay. What was the strategy heading into the interview with him on November the 2nd?
When we went back November the 2nd, we had the advantage of 2 prior interviews with law enforcement, plus we had videos that we had obtained from the store Plus, we had the knowledge of the data from the cellular locations and the tower locations to aid us in the investigation, talking to him.
Would it be safe to say that Paul had amassed many thousands of phone numbers and information prior to going to talk to Quinton?
Absolutely, yes, sir.
Okay. Tell the jury a little bit about the beginning of the interview with Quinton. What is your purpose when you first sit down with somebody you're interviewing?
Just try to talk to the individual, get to know them, put them at ease, and just generally small chit chat, trying to find out a little bit about them, and mainly just put them at ease.
Were you interested in getting him to go back through his day again on the day that Jessica died?
Of course, yes, sir.
Okay, and did you begin to talk to him about that?
We did start talking about his day.
Okay. Your Honor, at this time, we have the first segment. If we could have just a second, Your Honor, we're going to have to, we're going to play the first segment of the interview in Monroe. All right.
We're gonna need to dim the lights.
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd like to position ourselves, Mr. Tellis as well.
She's got it.
Now, Scott, who is in the room here?
It's Quinton Tellis. I have a plaid shirt on, and Tim Douglas is at the kind of the end of the table between Mr. Tellis and myself.
Can I be all right to slide this back so you can see it a little better?
Yes, sir.
Is it gonna mess anything up, Scott?
You should have enough cable there with time.
I just wanna make sure you can see it.
I'm good.
So we just really like just exchange numbers. So I gave her my, she called my phone, I had her number, we had each other numbers. And then like, one second, next day we started talking. And we just started talking, she had, I want to say I sold her some weed. I think I sold, I sold her some weed. And, I sold her some weed. And we started kicking it. I don't know, really. Like we was started like testing and talking. I mean, talking about the specific day? I'm talking about the day after.
about the day after y'all met, no?
Yeah. We was, she came to my mom's house. She was looking for some weed. I sold her some weed that day.
This is like the day after y'all met, right?
Mm-hmm. The next day. I mean, we used to text back and forth and talk on the phone.
Okay, so y'all text a lot now. Now, were you in a relationship with anybody else then?
I had a girlfriend.
Who's your girl?
Well, I was talking to a girl named Jamie Shaw.
Where'd Jamie stay?
She lived down Highway 6 by Curtis on Henry Harris Road.
On Curtis Lock Station?
The road before you get to Curtis Law Station, right off of Shell Road.
Jamie Shaw, okay. How'd y'all meet?
I've been knowing Jamie for years. I met Jamie when I was living on Highway 6, right there by Shell Road. I met her because me and Jamie's brother, we used to work together.
Now, who's her brother?
Her brother named Eddie.
Ed?
And me and her brother became friends. And I met Jamie, I went over there one day, just started talking to Jamie.
So you started kicking it with Jamie once you got out?
Oh yeah, I started back talking to him.
Well, what about this, your wife now? Y'all were, when you were locked up, you were talking to her, right? So once you got out, what was your status with do you call her your girlfriend or still?
Still my girl, talking about the one.
What you married to? Yeah, what's her name?
Shakita.
Shakita.
We was kicking it, she came to me and stuff, but she was down in Marlow, so I'm up there, so
Okay.
I know how they go.
Cast away, I'm with you. I feel you. So you had Jamie as a girlfriend, just kind of somebody on the side.
Yeah, that's a girlfriend. She really wanted my girlfriend.
You more of a friend girl.
Friend girl. She liked me, wanted to be with me, but I was playing like hardball. I ain't want to just be, which I really didn't want to be with her, but I cared for her.
I'm with you, okay. So you dating anybody else? I know, guys, the moment they get out of prison, they burn that phone up, you know, I mean,
It really don't be the guys, it be like females approach you, like you fresh out, you ain't gotta really just say nothing to them, they just approach you and be like,
you're like, damn, I love the free world. So who else were you kicking it with?
at the time. Jamie, cause she used to spend night with me at my mom's house. Oh, I don't even know when I started talking to another girl, but I can't remember what month I was talking to her when. She lived over there off she lived in the Charlotte. Her name is Kayana.
Kayana?
Yeah.
What's her last name?
She's Johnson.
Kayana? Kayana Johnson. No, she got a nickname? Kayana?
Everybody call it Yana?
Yana. Okay. So you started hollering at her at some point?
Wow, me and my old lady from down here, we went together. I was talking to her.
Did the old lady from down here ever come up and visit? How often did she come up?
She came up there a few times.
Oh, really? So where'd she stay when she came up?
With me?
She stayed
with my
in
mom.
the trail house there across from Girls? Okay. So anyway, let's get back to Jessica. Y'all met through Keisha. You saw her up there. The first time y'all met, is that when you tried to sell her some weed? You kind of lost me on that, right?
The next day?
The next day. So you met up there, y'all started texting and talking, and then she hit you up. How much, how'd she know? Did you tell her that day or the day before, obviously, that you had a little bit of green for her, or had a little bit?
I wanna say that same night I met them, I gave them a blunt. That's what I want. I wanna say I gave them a blunt. The same night I met them.
Okay. So she knew you had some. The next day when she hit you up to buy some, how much was she trying to buy?
A blunt.
Just a blunt? So during y'all's time together, did you serve her several times during your time together?
Probably a couple of times she'll pay me for it, but sometimes I just give it to her.
Just give it to her, okay. Now,
Like when I'm like say if I got like three or four blunts left, I just give it away.
yeah, give it to her. Okay. Did now were y'all in a physical relationship too? Meaning you and her have sex?
Yeah, we had sex.
Okay. Would you have it pretty often or?
One time.
One time.
One time.
Really? Okay. You know, how soon was that after y'all met?
It wasn't long. I don't even think it was 2 weeks later.
2 weeks later. And where did that occur? Where did I say?
We had sex beside my mama's house.
Beside the house?
Like in the yard or?
Or in the yard, in that big gravel lot out there? The big gravel lot?
Grass.
The grass there? Okay. Were y'all in a car or outside or
We was in her car.
her car? You had a little bitty car.
Yeah, I know.
You're laughing about that.
It was
I mean, it
small.
really seems small then, right?
Yeah.
Wow, okay. But that was tight. Tight fit in that little bitty car. Okay. Well, and I'm not trying to pry, too much, but, I mean, she was a good-looking girl.
Yeah, she was.
You know, yeah, she really was. So, you had to be attracted to her. And, you hadn't been out of prison that long.
No,
How come, how come only one time?
I was trying to get her to give, but she told me her period was on, so, she told me her period was on, so I told her to.
Well, that period didn't last a month and a half or so. So,
Period don't last no longer than about 4 or 5 days.
okay. So, what about before or after she came off her period? You didn't try it again?
About this time, I probably had Jamie in my house, so when Jamie there, I don't too much do nothing.
Did you ever serve Jessica anything besides green? No?
No.
You're thinking mighty hard. I don't care if you did. I'm not the dope police.
No, I don't think I did. Number green. No, I didn't.
Okay.
If I can remember, I didn't. Number grass.
Did you, when y'all were together, did y'all ever do anything besides green?
It was drink.
Drink, okay. What, did you ever sell her any pills? She ever sell you pills? No. Did you ever have pills to sell?
To me?
Yeah, you.
I done had pills a lot of times.
You did? Is it hard to get, what kind of pills you had?
Loyalty, depends on.
Probably.
Loyalty.
Yeah. Let's cut the property. I mean.
Okay.
I mean, it's
I'm
fast.
saying,
Right?
'cause
Yeah.
I done had, Linus before too, but Loyalty, most of them pills I'm gonna get my hand on. Loyalty.
It's hard to get tabs up there in court.
No, it ain't hard.
No. What's the main way people get them tabs now?
Buy from somebody else on the street cheaper, or go to the dentist, go to a doctor.
You go to the hospital?
Dennis?
Anybody ever go to the hospital yet? Trying to get that?
Yeah, you can go to the hospital and do it.
Really? You never tried that, did you?
What, go to the hospital and do it? I don't think I have in Batesville.
So where?
Probably down here.
Okay,
I have
okay.
not in Batesville. Bates ain't gonna get nothing.
Really? Is there a dentist up there that cuts a lot of tabs for folks?
You gotta go in there with a toothache, or send somebody with a toothache. If they got a toothache, then they gonna get them
Get
to
the
you.
tabs? How much tabs, when you were in the world up there, how much did tabs go for up there in court?
4 or 5 hours a piece, it depends. If you got some tens, you probably can sell them for certain people about $7.
7 for the 10 of them?
Yep.
Okay. What, anybody ever sell any knockoffs up there?
What's the,
Like fake tabs or anything?
did anybody ever sell some?
Did you ever see anybody trying to push any fake tabs?
If anybody did, it probably gonna be my cousin. He'll sell anything.
Who's that?
His name's Tony
Tony who?
Johnson.
Tony Johnson.
That boy, he'll sell anything.
So, just to, I'm trying to, you can see I'm not taking any damn notes, I'm just, kind of in the conversation with you here. You met Jessica, and interrupt me if I get any of this wrong, okay? You were with Big Mike when you met Keisha.
Not by myself.
You were by yourself when you met.
Just in Big Mike's truck.
That's the night I met both. Boy, I was seeing both of them at the store. The night I was in Big Mike's truck.
Okay, and you were with Big Mike, and you knew Keisha, you met Jess that night, Jessica. You may have even given them a blunt that night.
And changed from.
Yeah, you switched up numbers, y'all started texting and talking the next day. How often, so you got out in the middle of October, you met
I
Keisha.
got out October the 9th.
9th, and then you met Keisha a little bit after that, and a little bit after that, you met Jessica. So, y'all exchanged numbers. How often did you guys talk every day after you met?
We ain't really talk much, but like we probably test each other. Like if I ain't doing nothing, I test her. Probably if she ain't doing nothing, she'll test me. We'll respond for about 3 minutes and stop. Then probably it'll start back up later on or something like that.
So it's fair to say y'all text about every day, saying what's up? Okay. How often did y'all see each other?
I mean, after I met her and stuff, I used to see her like all the time.
I'm sorry, do what?
After I met her, once I got to know who she was, I used to see her all the time
Okay.
around.
Yeah, because, I mean, you wasn't working at that point.
No, I wasn't working.
Okay. And soon after that, you had sex. So, all right, 20 of those girls, you're killing them. How the hell did y'all have sex in that little bitty car? She come over to you, to your side of the car?
Yeah.
Or huh? She climbed over there?
Was small. Yeah, the car was small. We was on the passenger seat.
She came over there to you? Okay. Just curious on that, That's the only time?
Yeah, one time.
Okay. So, did you maintain?
Like I said, I tried to get it again, but she had told me her period was on. After that, I ain't even trying no more.
Really? Did y'all kiss anymore or anything like that? Just nothing? Okay. Tried one more time, she was on a period, you never tried again. Seems like you give up pretty easy.
I don't give up. It just, I don't give up. It's
I'm
just,
just
I
messing
just
with you.
don't.
I'm with you, okay. So so she had her little car and all, how were you getting around then?
Either I was with Big Mike. Most of the time I stay like around Big Mike now.
Down at Big Mike's house?
No, I don't have, we'd be in a sandbox. We'd be in a sandbox most of the time. Having barbecues and.
That's where you stay most of the time? Now, did you go to Big Mike's house, son?
In the yard,
In
or
the-
in the yard.
Yeah, okay.
Most of the time, he either come pick me up, or he at the store, or we around out.
Okay. I'm trying to place it. And you say he had a, what color was his truck?
White,
White Denali? Okay. Is that the only vehicle he drove?
just on one drove.
Okay. So, did you ever borrow his car to get around there?
When he like send me to the store or something, to the store,
Okay. Did you borrow that?
or
thing?
I run to my house.
And what would you drive at your house?
I said when I go to my house. I'm talking about his truck.
Oh, you drive his truck, okay. Jessica ever let you borrow a little car? You never drove it at all?
We went like that.
Yeah, okay. Okay. So you never drove it at all,
I think I drove a car to the liquor store one time, Jessica.
huh? To the liquor store with Jessica?
Yeah, she was in there.
Where's the liquor store?
Uptown, basically.
All the way to Basin. Why didn't she drive her car?
Why did I drive?
Why did you drive it? Why didn't she drive it?
Cause we were rushing trying to get to the liquor store before 10 o'clock, so we ended up still to make, it was like 9:50 something, but they were still closed.
Okay. Let's talk about, there's certain things that happen in your life that, you remember where you were. I think everybody in Courtland remembers that December 6th. Am I right? That's the day she died.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Okay. Now, I want to talk to you. I want you to walk me through your day that day. And I want you to take the time, and I might take some notes here. Again, you can see them. But I want you to take the time. I want you to think back, and I want you to walk me through your day. Okay? All right, so you woke up.
I woke up.
What time did you wake up that day?
I don't know what time I woke up. I don't know. I get up early.
Okay. The night before, did you spend the night at your house, your mama's house?
Though I was staying with my mom.
Okay, you're staying there with your mom. Think back, was anybody in town? Did y'all have company in town? No.
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm just, I can remember rather.
Okay, so it was your mom, your stepdad, you, Poo-Poo, and the two kids. Was your other sister there?
No, she got on my house.
She got her own house, okay, so it was you guys there. Anybody else the night before? Did anybody else stay there that you know?
Jamie, she be staying with me some nights. The one from Curtis, she be staying with me.
Okay. Jamie? Okay. So you woke up that day. What was going on? I mean, what'd you do that day? Walk me through it.
I woke up, got up, pulled my mat up, pulled my clothes, put on some clothes. Every morning I walk to the store, so I probably walk to the store.
You walked
to
over?
Walk to the store. Probably, well, I ain't gonna keep saying, I just gotta have it saying probably, but, I know. I wanna say guy was a bit mighty.
Okay. So you walked to the store, what'd you buy at the store?
I'll be buying sausages and biscuits. And potatoes, the little potatoes. That would be mighty.
So you went with Big Mike over there to the store that day?
He pulled up at my mom's house.
Okay. So he pulled up before or after you went and got your sausage and biscuits?
After probably a couple hours later or something.
A couple hours later. That's not jump. We don't want to jump hours now. We're dealing with minutes here.
Oh, okay.
So you walked across the street, got your sausage and biscuits. Who else you talked to over there at the store? Do you remember who else was working?
Can't remember.
Was Ali working?
I think Ali worked in the evening time.
Okay.
It was morning time.
Who cooked the sausage and biscuits, you remember?
I want to say, I don't know if my sister girlfriend, probably Rena.
Rena was there?
Rena, another person worked there.
Okay. Now, how, you just gotten out, you've been out almost 2 months, How are you getting money at this point?
Selling weed.
Selling weed? I'm saying, I understand, sir. Remember, all I want's the truth, dude. That's cool. I understand, sir. Okay. You know, just waiting, I'll put my pen down. How much were you selling at that point?
I wasn't selling them with blunts.
Oh, really?
Blunts and I sell quarters, blunts and quarters. I wasn't working with too much. I had no more than an ounce at a time or something.
Okay. So you wasn't?
And I went up there.
Okay. Okay. So you get a sausage and biscuit, and you come back across, you come back to the house, walk back to the house. Think back, did you see anybody else? Did you talk to anybody on the phone? I mean, put me there.
I probably, I can't remember if I talked to Jessica that morning. I want to say I did. It was just, I know. I don't want to lie to you, but I want to say her and Keisha came over there. And I want to say I got in the car with them. We went around and I ain't smoked weed. We went around and they smoked the blunt. And what? I'm trying to let you know everything.
You know, I know you're right, because I know you did do that. I know they did pick you up. Because see, remember I told you, I know a lot more.
I ain't gonna lie to you.
I know, and I don't want that. You know, you're an honorable guy. Remember what your mama tell you. She treat people with respect, right? And be honest. You know, that's what I'm doing to you, right? So, and I know that they picked you up. Okay, so that's good. So when they picked you up, where'd you go? You left your driveway and went where?
Well, I want to say that, I don't know. We went on the, I don't know if we went through the sandbar too, but I know we went on the, like, down the post office hill. We went all the way around. They smoked, then we came back.
What's all the way around? If I'm not from over there, what's all the way around?
Down the post office hill, down by the fire department, over the railroad track. We went right down the hill, all the way up through there, all the way up like it's like a split. We went down that way, we went all the way around there, and we came back up and went around the back side of Cortland. You know what I'm talking about? Back up at the third way.
So you go to the left at the split. When you go down there
Down
past the,
there,
yeah, past the railroad tracks, take a left at the split.
Once you go up there,
Yeah.
down through there.
I got you.
We went around down through there, then we came back up through, the other side of Shiloh. And we came back behind girls. Well, we was just riding while they was smoking. Then they brought me back to the house. And that's when I got with Big Mike.
Okay.
I don't know where they had went to.
Okay. Did y'all, while you're making this big turn, so you're going down past the railroad tracks to the split to the left, you kept driving, and it gets wooded area, and you end up coming back to the north side that way? Or did you end up coming back into Cortland?
Yeah, the same way we went down, we came back
But
up.
you took the right that way, coming back in, okay. And then you went up, hit Shiloh that way?
We went down, okay. Across the road from where Big Mike, is a store.
Right,
Brick
that old
store.
store, uh-huh.
You go down there by the big store, you go to railroad track, the fire department, you get up to the hill, there's a split, you can go either that way or that way. We went down, we made the left, like down up through there, like where Jessica got killed at. We went up through there, then we came back up, then, okay, we back at the split. We made.
Take that left there to go back
We
up.
went all the way around, there, then came to the freeway, made the right, like going back towards my house, coming over another railroad track by, Salem? Not Salem.
The church you talking about?
What's that church?
Oh,
Shiloh Church. Yeah, Shiloh.
right there on the corner.
Yeah, by the
Yeah.
cemetery.
Gotcha.
We went through there by the cemetery back to my house.
Okay. Now, this big loop here and back around, did y'all stop and talk to anybody?
That, not that I know of, I can't remember.
Okay. Now, were you in the front seat or back seat?
I was in back seat, they was in front smoking.
And they were smoking? And you just hanging out, just enjoying the company? Okay. So they brought you back to your house? Okay. Did Jessica pull up in the driveway, or did she drop you off out front, or what?
They pulled in the driveway.
Pulled in the driveway?
Came in with my mom.
Okay, came up. How long did they stay? Very long?
I had
Boardroom will come to order.
All right, thank you. You may resume.
They got up, so I see them calling them later on. So you might plan later on at night, or I just, you know, like, usually somebody be like, I'll let you later.
Okay. So you go inside, and you said Big Mike comes by?
Yeah, yeah, cause all doing, when I got out, that's all I used to hang with Big Mike. Big Mike came pick me up. Me and Big Mike, we be just going ride. Yeah, me and Big Mike, probably a couple more people. My sister may be with us sometime.
Okay, we're not talking probably, and we're not talking sometimes. We're talking, you got back to your house,
Okay.
and you were there for however long, Big Mike shows up. Is that accurate?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, you went riding around with Big Mike. Okay. When you left your house, who all was, you were in Big Mike's truck?
Yeah, oh, with Big Mike. And
Okay.
sure.
Okay. Big Mike driving, you in the
Passenger seat.
passenger seat. When you left your house, who else was in that truck?
Me and Big Mike.
You and Big Mike, okay. Anybody else?
Oh, I can't say, I know. If it ain't just me and Big Mike, it's me, Big Mike, and Poople. But I wanna say it was just me and Big Mike.
Okay. Where did you guys go? You left your house and went where?
To the sandbox.
To the sandbox. Y'all stop or just drive there?
No, we stopped. They got a hangout spot in the sandbox.
Right. So you went to the hangout spot. How long were you there?
We stopped there for a couple of hours. Then got us a couple of hours. Probably went back to my house. Then we like got some beer. We just watched the highway. We sit in my mama y'all watch the highway.
Okay. So, you and Big Mike, y'all stayed at the sandbox. Where'd y'all get the beer?
I had the beer.
You had the beer at your house, so you didn't stop to get beer. After you left the sandbox, was anybody else in the car with you?
People just pulled up at my mom's house. They see Big Mike truck. They just come over there and just get in and sit in the truck with us.
And that Big Mike, popular guy? He sell too?
With everybody.
What else he sell?
Weed.
Is that it? You sure?
That's all I don't have to say myself.
He sell more weight than you do, huh? Yeah, how much he sell? QP?
Shit. When I got out, I heard he got busted with take it back. They did say he had a brown truck. He got repoed though. But I ain't know nothing about the brown. I don't know. I ain't never seen him in brown truck. They say he got busted. When the repo man came there, they got like I won't say, they said about 4 pounds out the truck.
So they repoed his truck,
And got some weed out of
and
it.
then,
Yeah.
so they're keeping a stash in that truck? Wow, okay. So you got back to your house. Y'all started drinking beer. Now, what time are we talking about?
Afternoon. I live between 1 and 3. It's an afternoon. One just sitting there drinking beer.
Drinking beer on a Saturday, okay. Who all stopped in to see y'all?
There was one guy, Tootie, I don't know if I'm saying it. He or she got,
He a what?
His last name Shigar.
Tootie Shigar?
Yeah.
And what's Tootie Shigar driving?
Well, that day he was driving some kind of like a Sonata, up-to-date car. It was, I don't know if that was his mom car, his girlfriend car. It was like a Sonata.
Okay. So Tootie, stop, who else?
Michael Rudd.
Michael Rudd. Why you laughing when you tell me?
Michael Rudd. Drunk.
Is
Michael Rudd.
how'd you get there? You drive?
Yeah,
So all these people all coming, do they just pull up in your mom's driveway?
pretty much.
There's no pretty much, yes or no question.
Yeah.
So they all put in your mom's driveway.
Okay, so Michael Rudd, what's his name, Tootie? Who else stopped by that afternoon?
Travis. Travis, that's it.
Travis who?
Travis Hill. Travis Hill, Sanford. That's Big Mike and people.
Travis Hill Sanford.
I said Hill Sanford. His last name Sanford.
Travis Hill Sanford.
No, he's saying he's a Sanford.
Travis, he's a Sanford.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So is that Travis Sanford? Is that his last name? Or is he in that clan down there? Is that family? Sanford family?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So how'd he get there?
I wonder if he got dropped off or rode his dirt bike. Can't remember how he got.
Did you ever ride that dirt bike around?
I had a dirt bike.
Did you ride it a lot? Yeah.
It was.
Everywhere? Okay. All right, so you're sitting there. How long did Big Mike stay there?
We was there for a while, so I don't know how long. I can't remember how long he stayed there. I can't remember.
All right, time marches on. So when's the next time you talk to Jessica?
I talked to Jessica that same day, that evening.
That evening?
I had gave her some money. She had called me and asked me for some money to get her something to eat.
She asked you for money to get her something to eat. Okay.
Yeah, so I met at the store called Jamie. She was in the house. Well, I'm thinking, yeah, Jamie, she was in the house.
She was over at your mama's house? Jamie was?
So what'd you do? Did you just run out and go see her over at the store?
We was sitting there, Jamie in the house, we in the truck, so I walk over there to the store and get her.
And when was this?
Just the same day that me and Big Mike Oliver was in the yard drinking.
Okay. So where exactly was she when you gave her the money?
She was in the parking lot.
It's a big parking lot. Where was she?
Like the parking lot right here, there's a road right here, she had pulled right there, like in the gravel, in the parking lot.
So what time was this? Was it still night out? Was it night or daytime?
It wasn't night yet, it was daytime.
So you just went over there and gave her some money?
Some money, because she asked me for some money to get something to eat, so I gave it to her.
Okay. Did you get in the car with her? You sure?
Positive.
Positive.
Yes, sir. Nah, I just like threw the money, well, actually I just threw the money in, because I never knew if Jamie was to come out the house, I just threw the money in, went back, got in trouble.
Got back in the truck. So who was in the car with Jessica when you saw her?
She was by herself.
She was by herself. Okay. And where'd she go? You gave her some money. Was she gonna get you something to eat too?
I gave her some money, get her some money.
Had you ever loaned her money before?
Probably gave her money a couple of times. For the same thing, get her something to eat, buy her something to eat. Really, I ain't calling them, but like, getting a $3 to get her something to eat here and there.
Okay. So you threw the money in, it was still daylight. You just kind of threw it, and you walked back over. You got in the truck with Big Mike, is that what you're telling me?
Back in the truck while I
Back
started.
in the truck? Okay. And did she leave?
No. Soon I gave her money, she said, thank you, and she left.
Which way did she leave out of there?
So she went up the back road.
She went up the back road. And we're calling it the back road. What's the name of that road? The one that goes behind?
Going behind the store? Carolina, something.
Okay.
Carolina Road.
She went up that way. So you go back in your truck with Big Mike. Did she go get something to eat?
I don't know. I gave her money to her. I don't know if she went and got her something to eat though.
And Big Mike drives a white Denali? What kind of Denali is it? I mean, is it?
Have you ever seen?
I don't know that I have. I've been sitting here trying to think of it. Is it a pickup or is it like an SUV?
It's an SUV. You know how my mama, Suburban?
Uh-huh.
It's kind of like a Suburban of it, but it's a Denali.
Okay, so it's the long one or the short one?
The long one.
Long one,
So
okay.
it's like a Suburban, huh?
About the same
A
model?
Yukon XL or
Yeah, with
something?
a third or two.
Okay.
About the same year model?
I don't know.
Or was it a little newer?
Well, not my mom's truck, but like my stepdad, he got a Suburban, but it ain't too much different from it, so. So she left,
How long before you started talking to her again?
late on that night, we was talking then, we was texting, but I couldn't leave the house, though. I was there with Jamie.
Really? Just, Jamie gonna tell the exact same story? Okay. So you couldn't leave the house because you were with Jamie. You texted her.
I could have though, but I didn't.
You could have.
Hold up, that night. Hold up, Jamie. We talking about the night, the day she got killed.
Mhm.
The night.
Mhm.
Oh, that night. No, I went with Jamie. I went with Jamie that night. My girl from Louisiana, the one that I'm down here with, she supposed to be coming. So I was here doing something, so I told Jessica I couldn't see her that night because I had to go uptown to get my girl a green dot.
Okay, we skipping a bunch of hours. And I know you've talked before, and I know you end up going up there later on in the night to get a green dot. But why were you gonna get a green dot? We'll get to that later. If she was coming to town, why would we get a green dot? We'll get there. Let's back up about 4 or 5 hours, okay? Your girl wasn't in, Jamie wasn't there.
No,
She wasn't there.
she won.
So, that's good. So we're not trying to get Jamie to, that's good. You're thinking
See,
about
cause Jamie, no, I'm not thinking, I'm just saying, cause Jamie, she was back and forth, so
Okay.
the whole time I was talking to Jessica.
But you and I both know Jamie wasn't there that Saturday afternoon.
Yes, she was.
I'm asking. Did you remember going and giving Jessica money?
Yeah, I did that, I
Okay.
did that.
Thinking back, did you get in the car with Jessica after you gave her that money?
No, sir.
No. You went back to your house.
I went back, got back in trouble with Big Mike.
So Big Mike was still there. Okay. Anybody else in the truck with y'all at that point?
It was me, Big Mike, Michael Rudd and Travis, and Tootie.
So you had 5 people in that truck? And 2. You, Big Mike, who was sitting behind Big Mike?
Tootie.
Tootie. Who was behind you?
Travis. Travis was behind me. No, hold on, let me see. It was Big Mike, Tootie, Travis, me, Michael Rudd. Michael Rudd was in the back. I was behind the driver's seat.
Your Honor, that's the end of segment number 1. Just so the jury will understand, these are broken down into, the recording device breaks it down into 45-minute segments. So that's how we have it broken down for them to play.
All right, you intend on playing those continuously?
We can break now. I was going to ask Scott a few questions, I believe.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, break after this segment. You want to ask questions pertaining to this segment?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It's just very brief.
All right, I just think my jury's about had all the TV they can stand for right now, so I want to go on and take a break. It's just quick from that. So you may ask.
No, sir, I'm not. My questions will be about that segment. I don't intend on playing another segment until after lunch.
Okay, you may ask your questions.
Okay. Scott, when y'all began the interview, I believe you testified earlier that your attempt was to make him feel at ease to converse with y'all. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And from what we have seen, I believe it was a non-confrontational setting. Is that right?
Without a doubt, it was relaxed. You know, we encouraged him to take his time, and it was definitely non-confrontational.
Now, he indicated to you, or did he indicate to you that he and Jessica had had sex?
He did.
And how many times?
One time.
And did he indicate to you where in the car the sex took place?
On the passenger, in the front passenger seat.
And did he indicate to you anything about the position of the seat?
I believe he said the seat was laid back. I think that's accurate.
Now, I want to ask you, did you see the car at the impound lot after it was burned?
I did, yes, sir.
And did you see photographs of the car taken at the scene?
I did, yes, sir.
In what position was that passenger seat in?
It was laid back.
So he told you they had sex in the car with the seat laid back. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And when it was found, what was the position?
The seat was laid back.
Did he indicate to you whether or not he attempted to have sex with her again?
He said he tried one time, but she was on her one additional time, but she was on her cycle.
And did you ask him about driving Jessica's car?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay, and what was his response as far as that's concerned?
He said he drove her car one evening to the liquor store, and I asked him why. He said they were trying to get there in a hurry, and he said something to the effect of it was like 9:50 something, but the liquor store was already closed once they got there.
You know if any liquor store closes at 9:50?
No, sir, I don't.
At this point, Scott, did y'all begin to walk him or get him to walk you through his day?
We did. We asked him, I said, remember the day Jessica died? He said he does remember that. And just start walking us through December 6, 2014.
And what did he do when he got up?
I think he said he put his clothes on, folded his mat, or, and got dressed and went across the street.
At some point that morning, did he have contact with Jessica?
At some point that morning, yes, sir, he did.
Okay, and what did he tell you?
He said that she came by, and Quinton, along with Keisha, they went for a ride.
Now, one thing I want to make sure I understood right, did he tell you the route they went?
He did. He described in detail how they went. I think he said he started maybe through the sandbox, but he definitely said they went down through Cortland, out past the fire station. You come to past the fire station, there's a split. They went to the left, went down a little ways, came back, and then went back around and came in Cortland from the north.
Well, the jury's been out that direction. What significant thing happened along the route that he described to you?
That's where Jessica's car was found, where she was burned.
And did he indicate to you how many times they went by that spot?
They went past it that morning when they were out for their ride. They went past it and went past it a little bit, turned around, and came back into Cortland the same way.
And I believe he used the word the place where Jessica was killed.
That's what he said.
Did he indicate to you whether or not he talked or met with Jessica anymore that day?
He said she contacted him and she was parked across the street and he came over and gave her, I think it was $10.
And this was on the day that she was killed?
On December 6th, yes, sir.
Did you review the video of that day?
I did, yes, sir.
Did he ever walk across the street and give Jessica money?
I never saw that on December 6th, no, sir.
Why did he tell you that he had to run over and throw the money in the car?
Because his girlfriend, Jamie Shaw, was in the residence. Even though he was outside with some other guys, he said his girlfriend or friend, Jamie Shaw, was inside. So that's why he had to just run over, throw it in her car, and come back across.
Okay. Now, at some point, y'all began to talk to him about Jamie. Did he change his story about whether or not Jamie was in the house that day?
He did. When I asked him, is Jamie going to tell me the same story? I knew the answer to that question before I asked it. Jamie had been interviewed by law enforcement, and when I asked him, is Jamie going to tell me the same thing? We had been talking about the day Jessica was killed for about 25 minutes. And I said, is she going to tell me the same thing? And he thought, wait, are we talking about the day Jessica was killed? Because he knew that she was not there.
And so he changed the story.
He did, yes, sir.
Now, he also talked about his girlfriend in Louisiana. Is that correct?
He did, yes, sir.
And what was her name?
I think Chiquita. I think that's her name, yes, sir.
So you go from Jamie to Chiquita. Okay. And what did he tell you? Did he tell you he went anywhere to do anything for Chiquita?
He was going to send her a green dot card. So we went up to Batesville, said he went to Batesville that evening and purchased a green dot card to send her money to allow her to come up, to help her come up.
What is it? Just explain to the jury. I know Dustin did a little bit yesterday, but what is a green dot card?
It's just a way to transfer money. You buy the card, send the individual the numbers, and it's just an easy way to transfer money.
And were you aware, in fact, that he was captured on video in Batesville buying a green dot card?
He did, yes, sir. He did buy that green dot, and he was captured on video that evening.
Okay. As a matter of fact, I believe we got a stipulation with the green dot. Is that correct?
I believe it's.
You may not know that. You recognize that? You need to sense.
It appears to be a $40 green dot transfer. It looks like the cardholder's Chiquita Jackson.
John, at this time, that's all the questions that I have pertaining to this segment. If you want to break for lunch, start playing the next segment.
Yes, sir, I do. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to put you in recess for the noon, probably an hour and a half, all right? I think that's worked for us most of the week, an hour and a half for lunch. So I'll remember my admonitions about discussing the case and not allowing anyone to speak with you about the case, and report any violation of those instructions should be reported immediately. All right, with that, I will put you in recess for the noon.